Hello and welcome to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode, the Mazda 323F Atlantis. Hello and welcome back, and Quartzlight, if you don't know, we're a car brochure channel looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. So if you're interested in a little bit of fun facts, looking back in time, memories, car facts, car brochures, cars in general, please consider subscribing. Anyway, this particular episode is going to be first shown on a Saturday. We call those episodes Saturday specials because we look at special editions, limited editions of various different makes and models over the year. And today is the turn of this, the Atlantis, the special edition for the 323F. So let's have a look at that now. And there it is, the Mazda 323 Atlantis special edition. I was thinking about it, we've never actually featured the Mazda 323F on Quartzlight before, but here it is, known a little bit confusingly as the Mazda Atlantis in Japan, and then this is the special edition Atlantis. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not really, but let's just zoom in on the main image, and there it is. I've actually always quite liked the 323F, so much different than the normal 323s. These particular models certainly looked a little bit different. This brochure is a UK brochure, so a UK special edition dated December 1995, and looking at it in typical special edition fashion, we got some decals down it. Looks like we've got some alloy wheels. I don't know if that was specific for the special edition, and a sunroof. That sounds like a typical special edition feature, really, doesn't it? Now, interesting, these particular special editions, they only had the smallest engine, the 1.5, so they weren't really as fast as they look, because they look a little bit sporty, but aren't really. I always quite liked the front end of these, actually. There was just something a little bit different, particularly when you think about the normal 323s, which were quite a dull car, and these looked quite interesting, didn't they? These small little headlights, which, although look interesting, I can imagine them not being the best for night driving or the use that you actually had, but nevertheless they do look quite nice. Almost gives you that illusion of a possibility of like a pop-up headlight type of shape, but it isn't. Decal at the side with this line going all the way back to these sort of wavy lines at the back, which we'll certainly have a look at a little bit more detail later. If we do zoom to the back though, you can just about make out that wiper in that unusual position. In fact, I think the nicest thing about this special edition is the colour. It's called Solomon Blue Mica paint, so it's like a mica, so it'd be a little bit sparkly, I think. But nowhere on this brochure really gives you a good shot of this paint colour, sadly. It's really hard, it does look like a plain blue, doesn't it? But I think the paint colour itself and the car would have stood out a little bit more in real life than really is depicted in this brochure. Anyway, let's have a look what it's got to tell us about this special edition. Now, I say this is a brochure, but this is like many special editions. It's just like a two-sided sheet you would have picked up at your dealership when you're, I don't know, trying to pick your car. Oh, there's a special edition out now. Do you want to have a look at this one? These little extras at a cheap price. I think a lot of the special editions were anyway. But let's zoom in on this one and let's learn a bit more about what you got, how fast it was. No, it doesn't tell us that, but it certainly tells us the price. So let's zoom in on that now. So at the top here it's telling us the combination of style and value, and a little bit of a rear shot so we can look at the decals. So we first of all get this quite unusual decal, really, this sort of like a wave pattern. And then you can just about make out this Atlantis. Looks like a quite cheap sticker, to be honest with you, with these bubbles on it. I quite like the rear end, and I liked all that reflective area between the rear lights actually on the 323F. And then the picture opposite is showing us that looks like a tilt-slide sunshine roof. So it tells us with its sleek, flowing curves and rounded contours, the Mazda 323 has reshaped the perception of the modern hatchback. Now, from this highly acclaimed model has evolved the 323 Atlantis. The value for money special edition, I think that's the key, value for money, so you're not getting any super fancy things, but it's good price, I think. Finished in a special Solomon blue mica paint, which I'm sure actually looked nicer in real life than the pictures, is available at the same price as the Mazda 323 1.5 GL at $11,995. Now, like I said, the 1.5s weren't really like a sporty engine, so it wouldn't have felt that quick. Think like 90 horsepower, 0 to 60 in about 11.9 seconds, so for 1995 that certainly isn't fast. I would say it's on the slow end. Top speed about 109. Bit of a look at the cabin, and certainly by the 90s I think the cabin's got a little bit dull, not that interesting, lots of black plastic. Looks like we got another Atlantis decal there with those bubbles on the top and some alloy wheels, which were quite nice. Another nice little image in the centre though, showing them unusual sort of dimensions, and these particular cars were known by different names throughout the world. The 323F in Europe, although it never says the letter F on it, just call it the 323 here. The Artis in Chile, and one that takes you back a bit, the Allegro in Colombia. And actually the model was actually designed by someone who worked for Porsche before arriving to Mazda. Interesting. I can't see any Porsche in there, but there we go. But overall, an interesting car. I believe these doors were actually pillarless, or like a frameless window, but it doesn't really show that anywhere on there, unfortunately. You can also just about make out, or hopefully you can just about make out, the aerial position here. Quite an unusual place to put the aerial, but I do believe, it doesn't tell us anywhere on here, but I do believe that actually was an electric aerial. And quite interestingly again, apparently there was a Type R version of these for Japan only. I wonder if any of them was ever brought over, sort of like grey imports, because that would have been certainly an interesting model. So it tells us it boasts alloy wheels, glass sunroof, special Atlantis graphics amongst its additional features. For the peace of mind, Mazda has attended to the security of the Mazda 323 Atlantis, including locking wheel nuts for the alloy wheels and engine immobiliser. A little bit of a small print there, price excludes delivery, number plates and road fund licence. And at the bottom here, we do get a very tiny little image from the side. Unusual proportions, weren't they? But I quite like that it was just something, a hatchback that just looked a little bit different. Seem to remember though, with these hatchbacks, quite high sills, so you certainly had to lift things up a long way, and probably because of the shape it wasn't the most practical hatchback, but certainly an interesting one. And it's hard to tell in these pictures, but I'm sure that was a lovely colour. And then finally at the bottom here it tells you some of the features. So central door locking, electric door mirrors, electric front windows, front seatbelt pre-tensioners, an immobiliser, power assisted steering, alloy wheels and a manual sunroof. And then if we look right at the bottom here, it does have the Mazda address at that particular time, if I can manage to tune that in a little bit better. There we go. And if I tilt the brochure to one side, it does give you the date as well. You can see the publication number and then the date, 12/95, so December 1995. So there we go, the Mazda 323F. Do you remember these cars, and do you remember these special editions? Let me know if you do. I'm sure you can pick them up pretty cheap these days. I don't know how many's left in the UK, but certainly even today something a little bit different. But thank you so much for watching today. Have a great weekend and we'll see you very soon. And by the by, please, if you haven't done already, if you would subscribe, that really helps the channel, and thank you for all those who have subscribed. But for now, we'll see. Take care.